They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And in my profession, we say a talent that does not nurture talents is a dead talent. We at Chams Media are glad our new talents on board are doing well and even going international. I'm talking about Michael Simanji in Nairobi and our Lodwar-based journalists Jeremiah Eregai and Lorraine Nanok Edukon. They all have something to present in today's show, and this is a glimpse into what is coming up.
We gave everything we got as a gift during our wedding.
Frederick Otieno relocated to Rwanda 12 years ago for missionary work at the most unlikely moment.
My wife had a nice job with Unilever.
Bold and daring, he made this move without any guaranteed pay.
We did not know even where the finances would come from, but we took a bus ride.
Find out his impact in transforming lives in Rwanda. Also on this show, why the Turkana hat, known as outreach, is magical. Great. Jeremiah Eregai got a chance to travel to Rwanda, and he came across this interesting story, a story of a Kenyan missionary with a rare heart. His name is Frederick Otieno Onoka. He relocated to Rwanda just after his wedding, and he had to give up everything in Kenya. This is his story.
Turashimimana. Yeah.
Frederick Otieno Onoka speaks fluent Kinyarwanda. His missionary work in Rwanda has made him assimilate easily.
You guys can come and I'll give you your food real quick.
We paid him a visit on a busy day when he was distributing relief food to Sunday school teachers affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Our teachers don't have a stable income. So as a mission, we were praying, and what we thought best was to create out awareness about the need in our community, both to our hired staff and to our support staff. And that's why we have the food donations now. Youth with a Mission in a nutshell is an international, interdenominational mission organization. We have locations in about 200 countries globally. And we do three things. So we do mercy ministry, we do evangelism, and training. And specifically for me, the ministry that I've done over the years has been mercy ministry. And I'm passionate about ladies who work in prostitution and children born out of prostitution. Of course, to see them, get better education, to see these women learn skills that they're able to provide food on the table for their children.
Frederick, who was born and raised up in the Nyalenda slums in the lakeside city of Kisumu in Kenya, says he knows very well what it means to grow up in a poor background and wouldn't want the youth to lead a life he went through.
I went to Joel Omino School and I started drinking at the age of 5. And having been brought in this humble background, my mom did not have any source of livelihood. And she opted to selling changa just for us to be educated.
His, he says, is a calling as he gave his life to Jesus Christ at the age of 17.
2 white people came from Britain who were part of this orphanage, and we became friends. And I'd been asked to go pick them at the airport in Kisumu. All the lady could share with me was all about Youth with a Mission, the organization that I do actually work for right now. And she said, would you mind joining Youth with a Mission? I did not know what Youth with a Mission was all about. I thought it was an American thing. And she said, we're in Kenya for 6 weeks, and we would love to go to a Youth with a Mission base outside Nairobi in Athi River at the end of our stay. And I found myself at Youth with a Mission on that particular day. I remember it was in 2003, sometime in November.
Frederick will eventually end up in Machakos for discipleship training.
Being at YWAM in Athi River, a lot had happened. I was exposed into the community where I would advocate for, children who are facing all sorts of injustices. I remember one of the hotspots that I used to work at was Makutano Junction.
Then, he started making short international trips to neighboring countries.
At one given point in 2005, I found myself in Rwanda. I'd just come here as a normal visitor, and I just developed a heart for Rwanda in 2005. So for 7 years, I came to Rwanda every single year. I would come in between 2 weeks to about 4 months out of a year.
While in Rwanda, Frederick came face to face with the grim reality of street life in Kigali.
And I remember we met a lady of about 23 years. She had only gone up to primary 6. And she said, you know, in Rwanda, if you don't have basic education, you have no place in the society. She had sorted for jobs. She came into Kigali to work as a house girl, and that didn't go out well. And one day, one night, somebody invited her to go experience life out in the street. She didn't know what she was getting herself into, and she ended up, you know, selling her body to earn a living.
And he came across more desperate situations.
I went into another red light district, and I found a 14-year-old girl whose mom was actually a prostitute, and the mom was actually pimping her own daughters. And at the age of about 14, she had had a baby and lost the baby at birth. And that was so much heartbreaking. And that particular day, a ton of events, she was in a fight with her mom. They were fighting over 5,000 francs because she had worked the previous night but didn't bring the money home.
Frederick went back to Kenya. Fast forward, and he made his biggest decision ever, to relocate to Rwanda full-time. But the timing was tricky.
We were a young couple. It was towards the end of 2011. You know, we had just come for our honeymoon. 11 days later, the Lord speaks to me and says, with my wife, I want you guys to go live in Rwanda. My wife had a nice job with Unilever. She was actually representative the whole of southeastern region. I mean, that was from Machakos all the way to Kibwezi, Kitui. And she said, you know I just landed for this job. I've not been in this job for a long time.
Frederick says he eventually managed to convince his wife about relocating to Rwanda.
When we realized that we were going to leave, it was hard to leave YWAM Kenya because YWAM Kenya, I call it my second home. It's a place I loved with a passion, and I never thought would ever be here. First of all, the organization that we work with do not pay us. Everybody has to raise their own support. And having had a call of coming to Kigali, we did not know even where the finances would come from. Now, some of you guys with jobs, it's easy. You know, you just hop onto a flight and come. But we took a bus ride. And I remember we gave up everything we had in Kenya. First of all, I told you my wife quit her job. Personally, we're just a growing family. We had only been married about 7 months. We gave everything we got as a gift during our wedding. Gave it to the community in Machakos. And we only brought our clothes and books into Kigali. We took a long bus ride. The bus ride was about 35 hours. Yeah.
Wow, Frederick Otieno's story is just amazing. Jeremiah Erigai has more on how the Kenyan missionary relocated to Rwanda at the most unlikely moment. And that will come in part 2 of this show. In the meantime, let us give a chance to Michael Tsimanji with his segment, Kenya to the World. And today he's featuring a Kenyan company that is producing a kids animated series that is making waves across the globe. Take a look.
No, we can't just lie in bed moaning. We have got to save Dunia. We've got to create a cure.
This is Super Sema, an animated series that is taking the world by storm. The series follows the life of a young African hero who uses science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to save the day.
So Sema is a superhero with no magical superpowers. Her superpowers are determination, creativity, and she uses a lot of STEAM skills: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. She's solving problems in her world called Dunia, and she loves the community, so she's inspired or pushed by the love for her community to solve problems.
Stop! You can't waste meteorite on that!
Clara Njeru is the head of production at Kukua, Kenya. The company is based right here in the 254 and is the brains behind the animated series under the leadership of Claudia Lloyd.
We are an edutainment company. We work in the intersection between education and entertainment to create inspiring content for children.
The company, which has been involved in shaping young minds through the production of educational content, apps and games, has been in operation for about 5 years now.
We grew up watching a lot of content, a lot of reading books that are based elsewhere. So every time you read or you're watching something, you immerse yourself in a street in London or, like somewhere else where you've never been to. And every culture is important. There's no superior culture. And having Sema centered here was for us to share what it is to live in Africa. And that's how we came to Super Sema. Yeah, so we created a character called Sema who was teaching kids to read and write. And while testing the apps, we realized that kids were more interested in the character. They were quite fascinated by the character because she looks like them.
So, with Africa as its inspiration, the animated series brings together an impressive ensemble of top Kenyan voice actors.
So at midday, you horrible humans, I have decided to open the floodgates.
Elsafan Jora, Stacey Waweru, Seth Pruitt, Jazz Mystery, and of course, Lupita Nyong'o are just some of the stars giving the series global appeal.
From this day on, horrible humans, this world will be mine.
The series also has an army of writers, designers, animators, sound engineers, and editors, all of whom are located in various parts of the globe. And when it comes to distribution, the creators chose YouTube, giving the series the global reach that many production houses crave.
Amazing thing is that we had 1 million views in the first week, and we had people from all over the world watching. So we've gotten a lot of great feedback from the US, from Europe, and from Africa, especially from Kenya.
Currently, Super Sema has over 11 million views on the platform, and with the warm reception it has received so far, one can expect good things from this Kenyan set animation.
The uniqueness of it is that it's Africa to the world. The characters, the stories, they're quite unique. And the values that we teach in each episode, the values that would relate to any child from anywhere. So for example, creativity, determination. And if you look at each episode, there's a value that we are pushing. So empathy in one of the episodes, or care for the environment. These are values that any child from anywhere in the world, in Europe, in the US, would relate to. And that's Kenya to the world.
Welcome back. Today our main guest is Frederick Otieno, a Kenyan missionary who gave up everything in Kenya to relocate to Rwanda to transform lives there, and he moved at the most unlikely moment. Jeremiah Eregai continues with that story.
We gave everything we got as a gift during our wedding. Gave it to the community in Machakos, and we only brought our clothes and books into Kigali. We took a long bus ride. The bus ride was about 35 hours. Yeah. And, we didn't complain because we knew the Lord has called us somewhere, and where he called us, he was going to provide.
When one talks about taking a leap of faith, that is it.
The environment, of course, wasn't very welcoming in the beginning, because when you're working with people, you get to a place where they have to develop a trust for you. But for us, it was so easy. After a couple months, first of all, there was a language barrier. I'm Luo, my wife is Kamba. So for a Bantu factor, it was easy for her to learn, but I said, how am I going to communicate? Because nobody here speaks Swahili, especially the people we work with. But you know, the Lord provided a way, and I'm now a very fluent Kinyarwanda speaker. I'm just like one of them. You know, the community has welcomed me. When I walk with you on the streets of Kigali, you know, I know a lot of people, probably more than people even who grew up here. And I've learned the language, and I feel more at home than I am, more safer than I am even when I go back to Kenya.
This mission started with only 3 kids, and by 2019, Frederick and his team had reached out to 105 school-going children.
The impact that I've also seen is that a lot of these kids know what their parents were doing. And the story that has changed is they say, Mommy does not have to go sell her body in order to provide for me school. Mommy is going to have a good lifestyle tomorrow. I love to see the change when they're able to learn skills. This is all same, because I told you Rwandans love beans.
The mission gets donations from well-wishers all across the world, especially from the US and the UK.
5 bars of soap. Yeah. A lot of these people were victims of the 1994 genocide. The people who were left as orphans, and the country growing back and getting back to its knees. A lot of them didn't have what we call basic education. And we want to tell them, you know, you got God-given talents, you got skills that you can actually use to develop or, you know, build your community.
Although they say East or West home is best, for Frederick, that is not exactly the reality.
When we came at the end of 2011, we thought we'd only come for a year and then head back to Kenya. And the rest is history. Now, we found this place home now. And why do we call it home? You know, I told you, we've learned the language. We feel a part of this culture now. We've gone to an extent of acquiring land in Rwanda, where we feel, you know, we'd love to settle down. I have 2 sons, and all my 2 sons were born here. John is 6, and Jesse just turned 2 years a week ago. And, you know, they all speak Kinyarwanda. They don't know Swahili fluently. And every time we're in Kenya visiting family and friends, they say, you know, we want to go back home. And home is where they were born. They were all born in Kigali.
What a transformation. What a daring abroad experience.
We need to change our worldview and not just do the things the way our parents brought us doing.
Everyone has a story, and Fred's journey to Kigali was a heed to a calling, that of selflessness and service to humanity. Back to you, Alex.
That's what sacrifice means. Kudos to Frederick Otieno for contributing to humanity, and many thanks to Jeremiah Eregai for that great reporting from Rwanda. Time now for My Magical Kenya, and we join Lauren Nanok Edukon with the following report about a Turkana hat that is known as Aurich. Take a look.
My Magical Kenya, brought to you by Chams Adventures.
Did you know that there is a special hat traditionally known as Aurish? This hat or kofia plays a huge role among the Turkanas. Today, let us learn about the Aurish. There are 2 major clans in the Turkana community, Ngumoru and Ngirisai, and they are both differentiated by the 2 unique kofias they put on. Let us learn about them.
Ngumoru yake huwezi pata kwa Ngirisai. Ukipatikana huko bado ni sangine utaadhibiwa au huwezi falia. Hiyo ni sheria ya kwetu Turkana. Lazima Ngumoru afalie yao. Ile nyeusi na nyeupe kidogo.
Takanete arainga kopriolo dangalo songai ngauni. Iyana na kriono. Iyana ngora kana akwa. Lakini Ngirisa Ngumoru ayang kopirna ngora kuwa kene ko ne chwa tamari araita ne Ngirisai. Araita pa uta Ngirisai Ngumoru. Ngako pirtu barana longaren na ngora kana kriono. Yana pana kriono tamuri moru. Ana pana ngora turerisai.
The Irish is strictly worn by a certain group of Turkana men.
Hii kitu haruhusiwi watoto. Kama hujaoa ni wewe unataka kufafaa hii kitu. Natakuwa mwanaume ambaye ameoa, amefanywa kimela kwetu, amesapana. Sasa iko sawa. Anajitengenezea kofia. Basi yanakaa.
While the Ngmorus put on kofias made from feathers of a male bird, the Ngirisais will use feathers of a female bird. And you might be wondering what this bird is.
Iko ndege aina mingi. Iko hii ya msituni, lakini hana manyoya. Manyoya yao ni ile mbaya. Si unakanga hata kama hii unaona hii kama kunguru. Si kunguru naye unaona ni nyeusi. Ni yetu sisi tungevalia kunguru, lakini sasa hana manyoya akufaliwa. Iko na manyoya ile mbaya. Sangine mtu kichwa ameharibika anafaa bata nini, faa kunguru nini. Hiyo kupatikana kwetu. Hiyo lazima upeleke hospitali kidogo au peleka kwa wazee tengenezwe kimila kwa sababu kichwa sasa ameruka. Hii kofia natakwanga ile manyoya ya mbuni, ile special. Hii kitu ni bei kali, kupatikana ni ngumu. Na kama ni kununua ni bei kali, moja karibu 3,000. Huwezi pata.
And because the ostrich feathers are fragile, once a ceremony is over, they are preserved with utmost care.
Siku hizi iko aina mingi kwa masanduku, kwa na mabakati hii kubwa kubwa. Niliona bakati yangu nyeupe. Hiyo ya kuchunga sasa hii manyoya ya mbuni. Unaweka kwa vitu zingine, unaweka ndani unafunika. Alafu hii makofia unatoa sanduku yao ya kupanga ndani. Ikae vizuri asikunjane. Asikuliwe na panya sangine.
Just like any other community here in Kenya, the Turkana community has many cultural ceremonies. Now let us get to know when and where the Irish kofias are used. If you look closely, the Irish kofias are part of the pomp and color in this traditional Turkana wedding ceremony. This is one among the many ceremonies where you will find the two clans being represented.
Harusi kwanza ndio mfalie ndio mjulikane. Nikitaka sasa kwa lazima niite wale watu wangu wa Ngmuru sanyike tufae rangi ma, kwa sababu hiyo ni harusi yangu. Tunafalia siku hiyo Ngmuru afae, tunaalika Ngirisai afalia yao, tuende kwa harusi. Kata sherehe hii kalisha tobongolore huwa tunafalia, ndio tobongolore maana yake kama sisi hatuwezi falia pile tunafaa hivi. Tobongolore si mchezo, hakuna kitu inaoneshwa ya maana kwa sababu kuna vitu ya zamani inaoneshwa hapa, lakini kitamaduni yetu ndio huwa inangarisha tobongolore.
Wow, there you have it. So next time you set your eyes on these kofias, you will be in a position to tell the difference. For Chams Media, I'm Lauren Anok in Lodwar.
My Magical Kenya, brought to you by Chams Adventures.
Thank you, Lauren, for that report, and that brings us to the end of the show. Now, today I took a back seat as this show was a special dedication to our new talents on board, Michael Simanji, Jeremiah Eregai, and Lauren Nanok Edukon. Great reporting there. Be sure to join us again next week for another inspiring episode of Daring Abroad. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you've not done so. My name is Alex Chamada. Many thanks for watching.